What do you like about corn?
It's cold.
So if you look at what's going on, we have the tech people building the clouds and the telecommunications. We have the military doing space and Operation Warp Speed. So they're putting up the satellites, okay? Then we have Big Pharma, which is making the injections that are full of these mystery ingredients and modify your DNA, and for all we know, make you infertile. And then we have the media pouring out the propaganda. And then we have the central bankers engineering to the crypto, the central bank crypto systems. So you have these different pillars, and it's very important when you look at what's going on day to day, particularly in the media. They're trying to keep them separate so that you can't see how they're going to come together in an integrated system, which is basically integrated into your body and your mind.
Do you feel it in the air? Everything is changing, a world wasted by fear.
Many now have eyes to see and want a better world, but I'm worried because of this trap that I'm seeing. It appears to me that our bodies and the life around us are being invaded by engineered biological machines, computation-based Trojan horses, and I need you to please listen and consider what I have to say. I've been working on this project for a very long time. It's been a labor of love. So please help me. Share this video or repost it wherever you can, and the sources. Get it out to people, and then they can make up their minds if it's something that they should be considering more, because they say that the only people who are free to choose are those who know the choices. It can feel overwhelming to look at these things and how widespread this situation already is, but I refuse to think that ignoring the problem is the way to go. So let me show you what I've been looking at. Bacillus subtilis is a spore bacteria that's used as a universal cell factory for industry, agriculture, biomaterials, and pharmaceuticals, producing enzymes, proteins, antibiotics, vitamins, amino acids. A group of Israeli students even reprogrammed Bacillus subtilis to produce synthetic honey, and who knows what else. It can survive in a continuously changing environment on cheap substrates, and it has the label generally recognized as safe in the US, so there are no real hurdles to adding it to products that are being consumed. There's plans to use engineered living materials like Bacillus subtilis to remake the world, from bricks and airport runways to living bandages that grow within the body. Plans are to build back better with the bioeconomy, using microbes that are engineered like living factories to produce so-called sustainable products, from your food to construction materials. The bioeconomy is exploding with growth, and everyday products we use are transforming and shifting to be obtained through computationally designed microbes. The feedstock for these microbes varies. There's options to use switchgrass, trees, sugarcane, cornstalk, whatever's grown in a given area. The microbes can be tailored, and so can the feedstock. But it's not just plants that they feed to their little factories. We've mentioned to you before about the companies using Nanotechnology to utilize CO2 to create proteins and things. We've also mentioned how DARPA, the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, has talked about feeding trash to soldiers. Of course, it's not directly added to the menu. It's used as a feedstock for any number of patented life forms set up to produce this and that molecule, eventually resulting in the food replacement products and more. Why do you think Bill and Melinda Gates were holding such huge positions in the two largest garbage companies in the U.S.? They can feed the microbes any kind of biomass you have. They've even fed them crap, like animal poop, to make some shit-based pharmaceuticals, which sounds so healing.
And basically what we do is convert cheap waste streams
into high-value components using fermentation for both non-food and food applications. We are involved in using fermentation for production of all kinds of food ingredients. So there we basically convert as cheap as possible waste streams using selected organisms and producing ingredients that are now currently produced in more chemical ways. And examples are vitamins, flavors, antimicrobials.
Not just your trash or your waste, but they can also feed your grandma to them.
So the end solution is basically just made up of amino acids, soaps, peptides, nutrients, just the basic building blocks of life. It's just our bodies are so nutrient dense.
You may have noticed all over the world's news the topic of water cremation, the cleaner, greener way to go. The recent death of a character of the NWO has caused a huge media campaign all about it, and right on time considering it's 2022 now and that's Soylent Green year. Now please don't misunderstand me. I do not mean to say here that Bacillus subtilis is the only concern in this takeover of all the life. Not hardly. I just chose to deep dive that one to show some of how far it goes. But the human gut microbiome, for example, is an entire ecosystem of tiny life. And there are mad scientists and duped young students out there investigating all the different organisms and how they can reprogram them for their uses. Now, they say that China is one of the largest banana growers in the world, and they need to save their banana plants from a terrible fungus. And the only way they've found to stop it is using a Bacillus subtilis bioagent registered in China as a pesticide, and they are exploring other strains of Bacillus. Reportedly, to boost the yield of black currants, strawberries, and raspberries, there's been experiments with repeated application of probiotics, including Bacillus spores, to the plants as they grow. They consider the plant host to be a bioreactor that allows the growth of their engineered microbes in plant tissues and entry into seeds as vehicles for their long-term shelf-stable storage. They say that plant bioreactors are particularly useful for the cultivation of microbes that, unlike artificial bioreactor setups, industrial or laboratory, that require machinery, the plant bioreactors are uniquely capable of providing a suitable environment for the microbes with little to no human intervention required. Coming out of the EU and headed to the US, more patented strains of Bacillus subtilis will be unleashed on tomatoes, lettuce, cucumbers, grapes, apples, citrus, wheat, potatoes, and more, because the agriculture sector is looking for new so-called green and low toxic products, and they say synthetic life fits the bill. It brings to my mind the bee vectoring technology that we looked at a while back, where they made bees walk through bacillus spores and other biological products when entering or exiting the hive, delivering this payload to organic strawberry plants, for example. The biofilm that's then created was said to protect the fruit from mold. And both of those methods of inoculating crops leads us to the application of probiotic spores for tracking purposes. Remember back when we looked at this brand of regenerative farming that's being pushed, where they're changing the phytobiome of the crops grown by Big Ag and their global agripreneurs, which is said to cause a step change in the plants. No genetic engineering of the plant itself required. They are adding their engineered life to the soil, and they're redesigning what life should live on and inside the crops and telling you it's a greener way to go, since they won't need the synthetic fertilizers and pesticides anymore, when in reality they are launching a takeover of any native life that may have survived the assault of the previous campaigns waged by Monsanto and Co. 2020 hit and the world disinfected on a scale never before seen, and some kept doing it. And now enter all this new life. There's all kinds of focus on gut health now in the COVID-based world, and just as they've been sequencing all of the life on the planet, big and small, they've been working to map the tiny life inside of you, what has survived the chemical assault over the years, to help discover new therapeutic strategies and inspire their biological nanomachines to build you back better, or so it may seem. And how could we even know? If we knew what we were looking for, how could we see if the strains we're being inundated with have been computationally altered to produce unnatural substances when they say they can bioengineer Bacillus subtilis spores while leaving their genome intact? And are we really just dealing with simple bacteria? Scientists studied the biofilm development of Bacillus subtilis and showed that these bacteria are multicellular organisms like we are. While looking at things being done with Bacillus subtilis, I came across Jenna Satella and her work with the MIT Center for Art, Science, and Technology. Jenna has been training machine learning algorithms by having the computer observe Bacillus subtilis. She says to teach machines how to transcribe Martian, a collaboration said to render AI as machine learning just as mysterious as AI, alien intelligence. It's kind of unsettling to listen to the bacterial Martian communications that Jenna's art produces, and it doesn't surprise me that the topic of witchcraft is thrown around with her projects.
I'll just say that for our conversation, and as Jenna knows, I framed my questions to a work around a simple genealogy of Western esoteric countercultures. So my questions take the starting point and elements of witchcraft, spiritualism, and psychedelia that can be found in Jenna's work and research. Now, esoterica can be broadly defined as embodied other knowledges and knowledge of others, or as embodied other intelligences and intelligence of others. And that's including more than human others, of course, whether they're ghosts or aliens or more abstract entities such as fields of energy and other imperceptible agents and arenas of being.
It puts all of the talk of alien disclosure in a whole other light for me. As we've showed before, entities like Singularity University and the Medikill professionals, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and such that attend their events, they are striving to reinvent us and the world